What's going on, guys? My name is Jake. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm here to restart the Bottas Career Mode. So this is going to be a completely rebranded series, and you will have seen the Sky Sports intro there. But now coming on to this, let's have a look at the 2013 driver lineup.
Reigning champions Red Bull stick with their winning formula. Sebastian Vettel is chasing his fourth consecutive driver's title, while Mark Webber seeks his first. But he has been instrumental in the team's 3 constructors' titles. And crucially, the car remains the work of design guru Adrian Newey.
Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa take charge of the prancing horses once again. The Spaniard just missed out on his 3rd world title last year and is hungrier than ever to add another championship to his name. Alonso says the car is 200 times better than this time last year.
McLaren retained 2009 world champion Jenson Button, and his 228 Grand Prix starts compared with the 37 of new Mexican teammate Sergio Perez, who earned the drive based on 3 podium finishes for Sauber. It is now 14 years since McLaren won the Constructors' Trophy.
Kimi Raikkonen won in Abu Dhabi last year, and the car has looked quick in pre-season testing. Romain Grosjean became more well known for his start of race crashes than the podiums he scored, but both drivers are capable of winning races this season.
The big question this year is, how will Lewis Hamilton fare at Mercedes? The 2008 world champion was nurtured by McLaren, but seems motivated by his new environment. Nico Rosberg's a former teammate from their teenage karting days, and master tactician Ross Brawn is still at the helm.
It's all changed at Sauber. Nico Hülkenberg provides the experience, whilst Mexican Esteban Gutierrez is the rookie. The team had some great results last year, and Hülkenberg is highly rated in the paddock. In his 3 seasons in Formula 1, this is his 3rd team.
Scotland's Paul di Resta starts his 3rd season at Force India, hoping to build upon his 4th place finish in Singapore last season. Adrian Sutil rejoins the team after a year out of the sport. The 30-year-old German has 90 Grand Prix under his belt, but is yet to score a podium finish.
Williams were race winners last year, and Pastor Maldonado stays with the team again this season. Alongside him is highly rated rookie Valtteri Bottas. Despite being new to the grid, the Finn's cool head and speed definitely makes him one to watch.
There's no change in lineup at Toro Rosso. Frenchman Jean-Eric Vergne and Australian Daniel Ricciardo are back for a 2nd full year, and both are desperate to impress the bosses at sister team Red Bull. British designer James Key is responsible for the 2013 car.
There are 2 new drivers for the Caterham team this year. Charles Pic has 1 season under his belt in F1 with Marussia, whilst Guido van der Garde steps up after 4 years in GP2. It's the least experienced lineup that Caterham has ever had.
The 4th British driver on the grid is Max Chilton at Marussia, and he makes his Grand Prix debut this weekend, as does highly rated Frenchman Jules Bianchi. The team is the only one to use the Cosworth engine, but they have adopted Kerr's technology for the first time.
So now that you know the 2013 drivers lineup, we can now get on into the first Grand Prix of the 2013 season here in Australia, and you can see Valtteri Bottas is now getting strapped in to prepare for his first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix. And now, as we are looking at the race strategy, it looks like a one-stop today, just going for starting on your options, a fresh set of options, and then going on to the prime tyres and going for the normal fuel strategy today, as Bottas doesn't really feel the need to go cautious to overfuel or underfuel the car. And now looking at the setup, obviously Bottas is very well known for having pretty much for good setups, and now we are going to look at the grid, and it is Sebastian Vettel on pole ahead of Fernando Alonso and Nico Rosberg rounding out the top 3. Then behind Rosberg is his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Then it is Mark Webber and Kimi Raikkonen in P5 and 6, and then it's the 2 mechanics Sergio Perez and Jenson Button in P7 and P8. Then rounding out the top 10 is Felipe Massa and Romain Grosjean. So obviously Bottas didn't have the best qualifying down in 12th, whereas it was still better than his teammate who qualified down in 7th.
Formula 1 is predictable, isn't it? The same guy wins every race.
7 out of 7 different winners.
The big names never change teams. And Seb well, he can't overtake, can he?
Brilliant drive.
There's the man they said can't race.
Gone are the days of respect and character. And characters?
They just don't make them like they used to.
Yes, I'm doing all the time. We don't have to remind them.
The teams fail to surprise us. Sauber don't drink champagne. Williams are a spent force. And Red Bull don't make mistakes. If only there was some spontaneity,
Excuse me, does anybody know the way back to the racetrack?
maybe some politics,
It's difficult to find a driver like me.
and a bit of drama at the final race.
Sebastian Vettel in the middle of the track. It's the championship is blown wide open.
The only thing that is predictable is that it's going to be unpredictable.
So now we are on the grid, and you can see Sebastian Vettel is lined up on pole with Valtteri Bottas in 12th and Maldonado down in 17th, as we have already mentioned. So Bottas has Hülkenberg and Grosjean ahead of him, with Felipe Massa, the Ferrari, in 9th, as we are revving up to 5 red lights, and now it is lights out and away we go, and Bottas gets a good start off the line, as he has already actually pipped on Nico Hülkenberg, but then Paul Di Resta gets brilliant start and gets past him, and coming into the first corner, shooting down first gear, taking it very easy, and now he is racing alongside Jenson Button and Felipe Massa, and coming up into turn 3 brakes, and Massa actually broke late, and then gets slowed down much quicker than Bottas, and there is contact, and now he goes around the outside of Romain Grosjean, and now it was coming up and now he's in P9, but now coming up to this corner, Lewis Hamilton's obviously lost out at the start, and Bottas goes up the inside of Felipe Massa and Lewis Hamilton at the same time, and that is a brilliant move, as now we are going on to lap 3 where he is behind Sergio Perez, and coming up and now on the run up to turns 11 and 12. Bottas has been mighty here all weekend on the exit of turns 11 and 12 and on the run up to it, and Bottas goes around the outside of Sergio Perez, and he gets the move done up into turns 11 and 12 and moves himself up into P6 behind Mark Webber. And now on lap 4 he is very close to Mark Webber, and he will have DRS to open the flap on the rear wing, which reduces drag, which gives him much better straight line speed, and he uses the rest of his colours as well. As we are coming on to lap 5, he sets a new personal best lap time, and he goes up the inside of Mark Webber. Webber holds it around the outside, and there's slight contact, and they both lose the back end a bit, but they both hold it, and now Bottas is going to have another go. It looks like at turn 3, or is he too far back? No, he's too far back, so he decides to sit behind with a slight lock up. And now as we are coming on, so Bottas is remains in P6 and Webber remains in P5, but now coming on to lap 5, we're coming up to we're now on the ramp to 11-12 once again, and Bottas uses the curves and goes around the outside of Mark Webber, and he pulls off the exact same move that he pulled off on Sergio Perez to move up into P5. And now Bottas peels off into the pit, as most of the drivers on the super soft tyres will do, and he's now coming on. Now he's now in the pit lane, 36 miles per hour. Alon, I think that was Rosberg there. I think it was actually Sebastian Vettel. Got a very good start there. Had a very good stop. Got out before Bottas was in there, and now Bottas has a 3.1 second pit stop, and he is now behind Nico Rosberg here on lap 6, as he rejoins in P14. He rejoins race P14, and he is now going to try and catch Nico Rosberg and obviously pass him to move up a position. And now as we are once again on the run up to turn 12, he goes to go around the outside of Chilton and Rosberg, but that is a pretty tricky pass, and Bottas actually gets a penalty, a drive-through penalty for causing a collision with Max Chilton when there was actually nowhere he could go. But nevertheless, he has the penalty, and he's got to take it, as he has a slight lock up and runs it wide. And Bottas decides, you know what, I'm just going to take the penalty this lap, because there was no point in him taking the penalty later on, because he would have just lost out even more than he already had. But he comes into the pits now on lap 6, and he actually ends up losing out to his teammate Pastor Maldonado, who, as we know, doesn't have the best reputation now in Formula 1 in 2013, but nevertheless he's made his pit stop, and Now Bottas rejoins in P15 as on lap 7 as he exits the pits, and now as we are coming on to lap 8, he is caught up to his teammate and Massimiliano and Daniel Ricciardo. It goes up around the outside of his teammate and up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo, and that was a very planned move. He saw an opportunity, and thought, I'm going to have to take it, and now he's moved himself up into P13 behind the caterham of Guido van der Garde, who is also a rookie this season, along with Valtteri Bottas. And Bottas actually had to take avoiding action as he was starting to go on the run up to turns 11 and 12. So yeah, he had to take avoiding action, which ended up being into a pass in there. Now on lap 12, Bottas squatted to Esteban Gutierrez, which is now for a points paying position, and he now with the DRS goes up the inside and he gets past Dunn, and as he slows it down all for turn 3, runs slightly wide but still gets a good run. And now on lap 14 he locks up coming up onto turn 3 and runs into the gravel, and that lets Esteban Gutierrez back past, and now Bottas obviously made that mistake as his tyres are going off, but Bottas is now going to have to try very hard if he is to catch and repass Esteban Gutierrez, and you see there how bad his tyres are. But now on the final lap, the exit of turn 11-12, Bottas again is mighty all weekend, and he decides to go up the inside of Esteban Gutierrez. Gutierrez tries to hold it around the outside, but he runs off the track, and that ends up with Bottas being in 10th and denying Esteban Gutierrez the final points paying position, and not letting Gutierrez score points in his first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix. But instead it is Valtteri Bottas that takes the final points position and gets points in his first Formula 1 Grand Prix after finishing 10th. His teammate Pastor Maldonado is finished down, I believe it was in 13th, I believe it was in 14th, and yes, there you go, confirmation that Pastor Maldonado did in fact finish 14th. But the race was a smashing better won the race from Kimi Räikkönen and Fernando Alonso rounding out the podium, with Mark Webber finishing in 4th, with Sergio Perez in 5th, with Nico Rosberg in 6th, 7th was Romain Grosjean, 8th was Lewis Hamilton, 9th was Felipe Massa, and 10th was Valtteri Bottas. So Bottas the only rookie to score points in his first Grand Prix. Jenson Button had a pretty dismal day, finishing down in 16th after qualifying in P8, with all drivers finishing the Grand Prix, with Charles Pitt rounding out the race. And driver temperature obviously exactly the same as the race results, with Sebastian Vettel leading the way 7 points ahead of Kimi Räikkönen. And on to the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull lead the way ahead of Lotus, with Ferrari in 3rd. And the last point scoring team is Williams. The teams yet to are Sauber, Force India, Toro Rosso, Marussia and Caterham. But that's it from me. If you did enjoy this video, then please give it a big like, comment down below what you thought, subscribe if you are new for weekly F1 content. You can follow me on Twitter @Petro_. As always, there's links down in the description, and there's also links down to all the music that I used in this video down in the description. And if you want to get a partner of Freedom, I highly recommend it. There is also links to that down in the description. But I will see you next time.